Cool. I just want to talk about a topic that we're discussing in the car, right? And we're like, is there an artist who right now we are ready for to give us a greatest hits album?
All right. Well, with regards to that, I think we'd have to sit back and say, okay, who's given us the most catalog?
I got double HP at the top of my head.
That's the first person I thought about.
Top of my head.
Because he had given us the content, and may his soul rest in peace, but we're still loving his music in the club till today. And the fact that he's given us such timeless music is what will give someone the opportunity to give us a greatest hits. But if we put someone as legendary as Double HP aside, and now we're looking at the artists who are rocking right now, if we look at maybe possibly even our top 5 at the moment, would they be able to give us that greatest hits?
Our top artist has only, AKA has only released 3 albums.
In how long?
Do you understand what I'm saying? Ricky, in 2 years, has given us 1. You know what I'm saying? So, it's tricky.
Okay, well, we'll take it to the floor. Maybe our people can also engage with us on this one, and because we had a couple of hands up who said they could give us a greatest hits album.
So I want to know, okay, let's just quickly define. So is this a greatest hits album? Is it going to be an album with #1 hits?
No.
Just greatest hits.
Great song.
And okay, so yeah, it's tricky. Honestly speaking, from the top of my head, I would say we can have the conversation around an AKA, for instance.
Yeah, Keenan Forbes. Yep.
And then we can take it from there.
It's tricky. Does anyone else want to add on this? Kulichana. We'll have to also get in the Morafe catalog as well, right? So they say because he's a solo artist, you can't include Morafe. So he's also just chilling. Yabo? Sinobanomye?
I feel like Usjava can give us a greatest hits album. And the reason I say this is because I feel as if, in terms of hip-hop, he's one of the few persons, I'd say, in South Africa who has honed the sound. He took something that was rooted in South Africa, umaskandi, and he was able to revolutionize. Like Lab said, hip-hop hasn't had the time to ferment and grow and revolutionize, and I feel like Usjava has done that. He is the reason why I think he's so popular. Uguti, he's relatable across the board. He's able to give us stories that we can relate to, and he's able to give us a sound that we can relate to, and also mix it in with a sort of international sound. So I'd say Usjava.
Can you name me 10 songs from Mushava right now? Since we talk about greatest hits. Just 10 songs.
Baby girl, there's nothing wrong with being a fan. You go and buy that album, okay?
Honestly,
you
I
spend
can.
your money.
I can.
All right. Look,
big though.
look. It is a bit difficult to kind of sit back and kind of plow back at somebody's catalog and say, "Do you think he's worthy?" Because I think every artist will kind of sit back and say, "But I'm worthy. I've given you hits. They've all been on radio." But my question that I wanted to have with this topic was, if we do go back to greatest hits, does that include collaborations and verses, or is that purely their music? And somebody I think we're also kind of pushing to the side is somebody who has given us 4 albums, which is Casper. So he could possibly give us some sort of catalog and some sort of greatest hits from his music.
What about Pro? And then again, we'd have to reach into the features and the verses, because I think Pro is also deserved to be there, right? That's from my side, anyway. Oh, sorry, Pro kid, bro. Sure.
In my understanding of a greatest hits, it has to do with the numbers of that the hits made.
Thank you.
So in my understanding of the South African environment of hip hop, you'd have to start thinking about people like Ozola, where they've had a lot of hits and they can create numbers instead of like 10 songs to have a greatest hits. Or to talk about people like, we talk about OWHP. They can have greatest hits albums. And then one more I could think of, maybe someone, oh man, I just forgot. Brenda Hip Hop. But yeah, in terms of right now, though, I think the artists, they could start creating greatest hits projects or greatest hits careers would be your AKAs and perhaps your Caspers, who's got a lot of hits that have made at least number one.
So no matter if he's featured or it was a featured track, or as long as it was a hit,
Yes.
it was great, it should be on the album, né? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
But then why exclude Cooley from Marafi then? No.
It's a question. It's a question.
Well, like I said, for me, it was a question at the time. So I wasn't necessarily saying that we should include the features. I was asking if that is a possibility to include the features. The only reason why I kind of pulled back with regards to saying you can include Murafi songs in Cooley's greatest hits is because Cooley Chana as an artist runs his own race compared to Murafe as a group running their own race. So if you're saying Murafe featured on a single, then that is their feature. And Cooley is featured on a different single, that's his feature.
Okay.
So we don't have any artists, guys.
Yeah, I'd like to agree with Speedsta.
That says a lot about the work rate of our artists at home, right?
I'd like
Nota?
to also I'd like to also add on to what you said. Yeah, the songs need to be hits, and there's only 3 hip hop number ones in South Africa. Whether you count from Specs, the first solo artist who dropped an album in 1999. You understand what I'm saying? The first one was Karakar.
So do we need it to be number
So-
one,
so-
or do we need it to
so-
be a hit?
Like a hit song, right? A hit song
Doesn't
is a
have to
song-
be number one.
is a song that is high up on the charts.
Okay.
It means it gets lots of spins, lots of people know it. There's awareness.
Okay,
there's
well,
numbers.
let's find the consensus with the people.
So you can't call it a hit.
Okay, let's
unless
find the
it's-
consensus with the people.
Yeah,
do
I
you
hear you.
guys think?
Yeah,
do
I
you
hear you.
guys think that a hit song should be number one, or should it just be a dope hip hop song? You want number one? A dope hip hop song. So the crowd is mixed on that vibe.
So we can have a greatest dope songs,
Greatest dope songs.
but let's not call it a hit because it's not a hit. A hit
Sure.
is determined by the numbers.
Nice one, Nota.
So Gangnam Style is a hit, and I use this example all the time. Gangnam Style is a hit, but it's not a great song. You understand what I'm saying? And that's because of the numbers. So
you.
now when you look at hip-hop numbers, hip-hop hasn't gotten to a point where we actually have those numbers or we have hit songs. You understand what I'm saying? So we can't even want that for our artists right now. The only thing we want to actually have them do is have as many hit songs as possible. I know like an artist like Casper, who's got 4 albums, has got, yes, many popular songs, many viral songs, but not any number one.
Yo. You just made a fan upset here, fast. You just angered a fan, fast here.
So on the Facebook page, hip hop Facebook page, they had something there to say a certain artist, I don't know if I should say his name, has released 47 songs. And he's about to release his new album. And you're right by saying work rate, because this year alone, I've done 60 songs, you see. So when there's work rate and people are doing music, then we can find somebody and not be Brenda Fassie or have to go back to double HP. Because if 47 songs is a lot in a space of since 2014, and here I am doing 60 songs in 1 year, so you see, we need to find that bulk of music being released. Like Aries releases and releases and releases. So we need that also in quality as well, not just flies
Quantity.
everywhere.
Just to, personally, I think hip hop's too young, first and foremost. As a genre in South Africa, I think we got about, what, 20 years? So yeah, at most. And then you got guys with insane work rates, but then there's another guy, youngster. He had like a whole year when you
15 mixtapes before he popped off.
like he was just going mad. Like, but it's not necessarily, and we need something to judge off. Nota's right. Like we need like a bar. Is it dope or is it what? But
I guess his bar is the one. He said if it's not number one, then it's greatest dope songs, and I agree
that's
with
it.
him. So we're only going for the number ones. 3 hip-hop number ones should let us know where we at with it.
Yeah, because we're still young, dog. If we have 3, that means Pitch Black is probably in there, right? No, he's not. He's gone now. He's been robbed. Yeah.
Go to Spirit.
And that's all from Questa. So we're still very young. I'm sorry, because Questa is literally just going to hit about what? I think 10 years in the game. All right? And if you look at that, 20 years of hip-hop in South Africa, we're still going to wait for a bit. Maybe a Nasty C will have a better chance because he's literally got the age and the work ethic to get a greatest hits coming out. But as a genre, we're still too young to even think about greatest hits. I'm sorry. Like,
I got you.
there's too much pressure on the guy.
Just in terms of the work rate, do you think our hip hop artists release enough music? Okay, I just wanted to find out how you guys feel about that.
How soon after the last album do you actually want the music to come out? Because everybody's saying no, but at some point when you're releasing an album, you also need it to kind of run its race before you release the next one. So I know the consumption of music now was much faster than what it was a couple of years ago. But you as the fans, what are you kind of saying on that?
Look at Tupac and his work rate. If he was able to drop 2 albums in 1 year, what's stopping a South African artist in a pretty young game to do the very same? We have AKA, who's been in the game, no disrespect to him because he's delivered quite a lot, but he's been in the game for 10 years. And he's only delivered, 3 albums, with a lot of hurdles in between those albums. I mean, if he's meant to be the greatest rapper, the best rapper right now in South Africa, he's meant to be working real hard to maintain that. Rap, what most people don't realize, why it resonates with like a sport like basketball is because it's competitive. We're trying to compete. And if you say that you're the best, back it up. Show us that you're the best. Jay-Z doesn't just say that he's the best, he backs it up. It's hard to get 13 platinum selling albums. It's not easy, but he's got that. And he can comfortably say that he's the best. No rapper in South Africa should say that he's the best if you can't back it up. If you say that you're the best, show us your work rate. Casper was a pretty young person who was dropping basically month in, month out when he came out. Now you can relax because he has an established career. But if you're still young in the game, push as hard as you can. Do as much as you can because you're trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to go up against Michael Jordan and you're LeBron James in high school. That's what you're trying to do right now.
Let me ask you something. Is it about quantity or quality?
Yeah. Both. Both.
But you must also sometimes remember the consumer doesn't always want music like that, eh? You need to bear that in mind as well, that sometimes releasing too much can be a bad thing. They always want music first until it comes, then they don't consume it. How many people here have heard Youngster's whole album? But what I'm trying to get across, what I'm trying to get across is that not even 50% of the people here have listened to Youngster's whole album. Reason being, there's so many tracks. Hence, I go back to how people consume it. You want it? Speedsta, where's the music? But when it comes, is the consumer consuming it? No, they consume it in different phases. That's why you're getting the music in different phases.
Thank you to the POPcast for coming through to the Imbizo.
Thank you, Romanam.
Okay, Kamus Pepelo. And just to the questions, Lapo. Like, if you compare to the States, South Africa is about 55 million people. America is like 300 plus million people. You can't compare, right? You really can't compare. Yes. And I like what Nota was saying about luck, but in the music Imbizo, we translated that to opportunity, and which is the reason why we have a music Imbizo, which is the reason why we bring a whole long list of people into eThekwini, is to create opportunity. Because we've come to understand that there's a lot of talent, and people don't understand the music business. And that's the honest fact. And sometimes we confuse the media aspect where people become popular to the work ethic that people like Abo Nota get into, like people that are in this. They understand publishing, they understand artist management, they negotiate sync deals, and they build careers, right? Some people jump in because of talent, and talent can push you for a year, 2 years, and then somebody else who's better and much more talented than you comes in, right? And then the focus shifts to something else. So it becomes important then that you understand the business that you are in. Research is important. And I will debate this with you some other time, Monota. I probably research more than you do.
You'll never win that debate with Nota, trust me.
I'll probably take it up with you some other time. But that's how it goes, right? You really need to understand the industry that you are in. You need to understand the players. You need to understand because it goes beyond just the rhyme scheme and, it's about that mostly in Amachita and you're spitting bars and gumnandi and you get pets on the back who collect 5 and everybody's happy and they buy you drinks. But the moment you start recording stuff and you move into a space, it's something else. Which is when we cannot separate that to South Africa as Katisning. We cannot separate the fact that when I was around the Lokshin, I was rapping and everyone loved the lines in. And now I'm moving to a space whereby I need to do these lines, but I also need to collect a paycheck. And I also need to understand that there's, I own this, I own a part of this, and I get this percentage on the split sheet, and all those things. And those things are very, very important. But thank you for staying this long.
For sure.
And we'll pass it back to the POPcast.
Siyabonga kakhulu Siphe mfethu, sibonge kakhulu. This was so necessary.